it's going to be like a hard sort of like slog to get through everything. So we're going to do everything in a roughly about 20-minute sections. So we're going to like study and work for 20 minutes, and then like we're going to have a Q&A, and then we're going to go and have a break. Just send you off, go do whatever you need to do, go to the toilet, get a drink, all right, and clear your head, ready for the next thing. So hopefully everybody is on the same wavelength as I. So I am here literally trying to assist mankind. So if we look at everything that's been going on and listen to old Schwabby Bobby, and he's trying to tell everyone under the reset that, you know, we will all own nothing and we'll be happy. And if we look at it and try to analyze what they mean by that, all right, and then we look at a quote, let's just say it's a quote that's been said, that's been assigned to Rockefeller, J.D. Rockefeller. I don't know if he did say it or not, but he said, own nothing, control everything, or at least he has been credited with saying that very famous quote. And that's what we want to do, own nothing but control everything, because the only way that they can take assets from you is if you own them, i.e. your title is on them. Now, what I mean by title, all right, is your legal fiction, your full capitalized name, all of it in capitals, the full capitalized name, which you will see on your passport, on your driving license, on any land registry deeds, on anything like that. So this is why it's vitally important when we're looking at the land registry deeds that we're tying it in with a private trust, but also working on the public forms as well. So, you know, what we need to do is, there's a lot of nonsense going on, or you know, as always is in what these people call this truth community, right? Which I'm not a part of, or nothing to do with whatsoever. And I'm not in any, you know, all of these things, and everybody likes to get into a good old slagging match, but I am trying to help people. Okay, so I can see on the land registry that these forms need to be done correctly to protect your assets from corporate pirates. So these could be you know, debt collection agencies or banks, even the mortgage companies or councils, anything like that whatsoever, corporate pirates that are trying to take your assets. So one point, because I keep sort of like passing over this thing, if you do have like bricks and mortar property, i.e. your home, and you have it on a mortgage or not a mortgage, makes no difference, you can put it in a private trust, you must contact by email, I'm sure it's by email that I did it, the land registry, and you get yourself on what they call property alerts. It's free. They'll do it for free. I can't remember how many now. I think it might be 10 a year, 10 property alerts. So what that means is if anyone makes an inquiry about your property title on the land registry will immediately alert you. They will tell you that someone is inquiring about your title deeds. Now, I have the paper ones stuck in a cupboard somewhere. They are from the original ones going right the way back to when they sold this land, which was from the de Laval family. And that was taken over by Lord Hastings. And the de Laval family, they still have the big house around there that they call Delaval, because they're changing the accent now from not being French, Delaval Hall. But it's worthless apart from a good souvenir. I'm telling you that because people keep arguing and saying, oh, I have my deeds and nobody can do this. We were doing like some posts before about identity theft and people losing the property while they were living in it because of identity theft, and these very, very snidey but very clever thieves, criminals, were stealing people's property. So they literally did not own their own home that they were in, because the title deeds are all digital. No matter what bits of paper that you've got from your ancestors, they're all digital, right? And they're all online, and they can be changed easily if somebody has the correct methods and the correct fake identification. I'm not going to tell you all how to do it. I'm not encouraging criminal activity, right? But this is why you have to monitor your deeds online, okay? So now this is all about being in line with the Creator. We write these trusts in natural law with the faith of nature and nature's Creator, where everything that we do is being from source, from the Creator. And this is how we view things. The way I look at it and the way I try to like pass on information, it's not like, you know, people coming on and saying, oh, I don't want to pay me council tax because I can't be bothered, you know, or I don't want to do it. You know, that's not what I'm about. What I'm about is like helping, but also being in line with the Creator and being in line with nature and what we're all supposed to be doing and helping mankind. You know, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to ground ourselves before every session, mentally and spiritually. So, you know, it's very important that you're in the right mindset and the right spiritual frequency to be able to do this correctly. And this is just the way that I feel, you know, and so just, we're going to take a couple of minutes to bring ourselves in and down and ground, okay, before we actually go into the documents. And then at the end of it, we will again clear ourselves, ground ourselves, and you know, protect ourselves from any outside influences that shouldn't be there, all with source and all with the Creator, which is part of the job that we've got for Paul today, and he's going to assist with helping us do that. So I'd like you to listen to him right now, just before we actually crack on with the first document. Hopefully you've all got it, which is the trust deed. Everything be recorded, by the way, so anything you miss or slip up or anything, don't panic. It will be recorded. Everyone will get the recording, and you'll be able to see all the documents on there as well, and a lot more information will be attached onto it. So just for the next few minutes, over to you, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Peter, and thanks. Hi, everyone. I know I'm a new kid on the block and a new face, but I met Peter a little while ago at one of his workshops, and I'm on a you know, assisting mankind sort of journey as well, and really assisting people to remember who they really are. So this is just part of my little contribution to the flow of today. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to just get some connection with our heart going. So again, if this is your thing, that's great. If not, maybe this is a little experiment into this area. It's only going to be a couple of minutes, but it's really just something called heart coherence building, and it's connecting our heads to our hearts. Essentially, our heart is the center of our love and divine love. So I'm going to just guide you a little bit if you can. If you want to follow along, that would be lovely. So the idea is to just start with some long, slow, deep breaths, cleansing breaths, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And every breath you take, you're breathing in a little bit more relaxation, and breathing out anything less than relaxation on the out breath. And inviting you, if you wish, to activate a feeling of love, gratitude, or appreciation for someone or something in your life. Someone or something that you have unconditional love for. Maybe it's a person close to you, or a loved one, or an animal, or a pet. Or maybe it's for yourself and all the journey that you've been on to get to this point, and all that you've accomplished and faced and overcome, and then who you are becoming as well. So it's really an opportunity to just breathe in love, gratitude, and appreciation in every in-breath, and breathe out anything less than love. And allow a feeling perhaps of love, gratitude, and appreciation in your heart, and allow that feeling to grow with every in-breath. And imagine breathing in and out through your heart area. You can put a hand on your heart area if you wish to draw attention to this part of your body. Just allow yourself to breathe in and out of this part. Breathing in love, breathing out anything less than love. Feeling that feeling grow on the in-breath of love, and breathing out anything less than love on the out-breath. Just allow the breath to do the work. More love coming in, and letting anything less than love on the out breath. I'd like to invite you again to speak out loud, if you wish, some I am statements, because there's 3 I am statements as we continue this breathing, just allowing that love to come in and grow. If we can, you can say after me, I'm going to do 3 statements. I am divine love, I am divine truth, I am, and I am divine power, I am. Now, by divine, I'm meaning anything that you draw your connections with from a higher capacity. So this might be a higher self or the universe or source. So I'm not necessarily talking about divinity in any particular shape or form, or certainly non-religious context. It's just a word that describes something bigger than us that we're drawing in. So the reason we're talking about divine love is that we're becoming divine love in this breathing exercise. We're actually stepping into our divine truth as part of this whole day. And then we're wielding our divine power to be able to do the things that we're here to do and to create the protection around our assets and our people and everything else that we need to be able to step above the corrupt system that Peter talks about so eloquently. So after me, some deep breaths. I am divine love. I am. I am divine truth. I am. I am divine power. I am. So this is just a little exercise to just get us connected with our heart, our breathing, and just calm and get ready to receive the information that's coming. And we'll be doing something like this through the sections and sessions to come. So thanks for that for now. Okay, back to you, Peter, if you want.
So obviously at the very top, anything that you see in red is what you can edit for yourself. So it's starting off Smith & Smith Private Trust. So you can put any name in there. Now, what I would say, okay, if we are looking at asset protection, then don't have it written out like, you know, the Peter Wilson Private Trust or anything such like that, because, you know, it's going to put it back to your title name. So make it something whereas you're not going to have your name written on there. Okay, so even if you mix up sort of like you know, I've got Willstaff Private Trust, Willstaff PMA, which is you're all members of. All right, so make a good name for itself. Then it's just the private deed expressed as of whatever day it's going to be. Okay, this one, 30th of January 2020. I am man, or obviously that actually we should change that and make that red for you, because you know, it's going to be I am man or I a woman. How you change that? Use plain simple English words. Right, no unauthorized rights of access. So when we come down here, okay, whereas, and it starts, okay, Fred Henry Smith, as Fred Henry Smith Limited, Jenny Jane Smith Limited, and Jenny Jane Smith. Okay, or any derivative of commercial title, they're all entities established by commercial law. So they are your titles, and they are also like the limited companies that we want to actually create. They are dormant limited companies. Now, I'm not going to go through every single, you know, like phrase and sentence on here, but this is the start of it. So I will go through this. Okay, so it starts off, this trust is established so that the trustees can distribute the benefits of the trust property to the beneficiaries in keeping with all the provision and conditions contained within the private trust. It's the specific intention of the man or woman who at times acts as the settlor to create a trust exclusively for the benefit of the man or woman who at times acts as the beneficiaries to this private trust. These are actually covering the 3 certainties that we must have. Okay, that's why we're talking in this manner. All right. D, the inherent and exclusive jurisdiction of this private trust is exclusively in natural law of the creator and shall not be construed or implied to mean admiralty, common law, Roman civil law, statutory law, or any other facet or body of law, or jurisdictions beside the exclusive inherent natural law of the creator jurisdiction. It is the express intention of the man or woman who at times acts as the settlor to create a trust for the exclusive property to be held in trust for the man or woman who at times acts as the beneficiaries. We always talk that way because we want everyone to understand or comprehend anyway that we are a man and woman living under the creator, not the title. Okay, that is what we believe we are anyway, but also that is what we see that I'm going to try and steal everything from the title. So the Smith and Smith Private Trust is a private trust that has been expressed. An express trust is a trust that is declared intentionally by the man or woman that at times acts as settlor. A settlor is you are creating it. I am the settlor today, creating this private trust. Right, this is where the man or woman who at times acts as the settlor wishes to settle specific property on trust for another clearly identifiable man or woman who at times acts as the beneficiaries, to be held on trust by appointed trustees pursuant to the terms and conditions set out, all right, on there. So let's just say that I'm going to change this to I can go back. I'm just going to change this to let's call it Smithery. Smithery Private Trust, right? So you're going to edit these. All right, so that you got yours onto there. So you go down and you look for every part of the red. So then we're coming on to hang on, I need to move these pictures again. So I'm going to change this for you again. Okay, being an express trust, there has to trust to be valid. There has to be 3 certainties in place. Some people say 4, but definitely by law there has to be 3. The certainty of intention, which we were just talking about, the certainty of subject matter, and the certainty of objects. Okay, let me explain them as we go through. It's vitally important. So we know we're changing this name, so you change yours as well. So it's the Smithery Private Trust. Has the intention as the man, Fred Henry Smith. Okay, so I'm just going to change it just so you can be changing it as well. So I'm just going to put Frank. Okay, Frank James Smith, who at times acts as a settlor, has definite intention to create a trust and does not intend in any way to act contrary to that intention. This is we're talking about number 1, right? Certainty of intention. Okay, so this is what we're actually covering, that bit there. All right. So the intention to create a trust, not a gift or a contract. That's Lord Millet in Twin Cetra Limited versus Yardley. So that's why you must make sure, all right, that you are the intention of a trust. Okay. And it makes it valid in law, at law. A settlor must, of course, possess the necessary intention to create a trust, but his subjective intentions are irrelevant. If he enters into arrangements which have the effect of creating a trust, it is not necessary that he should appreciate that they do so. It is sufficient that he intends to enter into them. You must have the intention of creating a trust. All right. So we're going to change that part again. All right. The Smithery Private Trust has certainty of subject matter. So we're going on to this part now. Certainty of subject matter. All right. Certainty of subject matter, as the man or woman who at times acts as settlor has settled certain and definite property into the trust with certain and definite title numbers. Vitally important. All right. The trust property is segregated from all other properties so that its identity is sufficiently certain by its description and trust title number. This is referenced to London Wine Company Shippers Limited, 1986. Just so you know, literally, this wine company had a cellar full of wine, and it was like for investment purposes. So the investors would actually deposit their finance, their fiat currency, with the wine company for a certain amount of bottles of wine. They went into bankruptcy, the London Wine Company, and they said, "Well, these are not our assets because they are owned under trust by these people who've deposited it." And literally, they said, "Well, how will you know which bottle of wine belongs to which investor?" And they couldn't say, because they'd never designated a title number. So you must designate a title number to your property, no matter what it is. Okay. All right. So We're changing it as we go. So it's the Smithery Private Trust. Okay, goes certainty of objects, as the trust has defined man or woman who at times acts as the beneficiaries of the trust and the trust property. Proof that a trust is evidently certain, as per Lord Denning, reference to Truck Settlement Trusts, 1978. Okay, so the that should be there as well. So the objects, as that sounds weird, right? You're actually saying there that there is a beneficiary. So everything is laid out. That is the three certainties, okay? All right, so we can be changing it, all right, as we go along. So it's the Smithery Private Trust is wholly under the jurisdiction of natural law and equity, as expressed in this private trust by the man or woman who at times acts as the settlor, the man or woman who at times acts as settlor of this express trust, namely ours. Let's get it down. Smithery Private Trust expresses the law of the man. You are expressing your own law, who at times acts as settlor by the following list of laws and regulations. This is known as the indenture of the private trust. The man or woman who may at times act as the general manager of the private trust, if there is one appointed, will oversee the actions and duties performed by the trustees of this private trust, but only if there's one appointed. It doesn't have to be. It's just an extra if and when we need one. All right, but it's written in there because you can edit that in or out as you see fit or as you wish. Now, from here, number one, right, it's just going through all of the different lists of the indentures. It's right, it goes all the way down. I'm not going to go over all of these because it's not necessary, because we're going to go over them at the end. All right, so like right down to 106, public commerce is prohibited in this private trust. This is not a business or commerce or commercial trust. So there is different trusts available. This is an asset protection. This is what this is for. If you want something else, a different trust, then we have to do it differently to set up either a PMA or a business trust. All right, does that make sense? Right, this is a tool that we are using. Okay, and the wording has to be specific to make sure it's as safe as houses, as they say. So the beginning bit. Okay, this private family trust deed was originally expressed verbally on the date described in the schedule and by and between the man or woman who acts as settlor, as described as the settlor in the schedule, and the man or woman commercial entity who at times as described as the trustee in the schedule. Okay, so literally you express a trust verbally initially, and that is the date where your trust is created. So you do not need, believe it or not, a piece of paper to actually have a trust. A trust exists even if nobody knows that there is a trust in existence. That seems very strange. Okay, now I'm not going to go over every single one because there is a lot, 106 different subjects, right? But I'm just going to go over a couple that are like vitally important, and it's not stuff you edit, but I do suggest that you read every single paragraph in this private trust document. Okay, now look, we'll have them written here, right? Okay, this is talking about the tax, that it's you basically are telling them it's a private, not for surplus profit, non-governmental organization or structure, an NGO or an NSFP. Okay, so it's under the jurisdiction of natural law, not subject to any law, acts or statutes, including those income tax acts. All right, just so that you know that's how we're actually doing it. Okay, so that's why we've got it now. As we go down, I'm just quickly checking if there's anything that I really need to actually make you aware of. Now, this is just going over the description of who is the settlor, the settlement sum, tertiary beneficiaries. Okay, like I say, I think you should make sure that you read every single paragraph on here before you actually get it witnessed and signed. We'll go over that later. This is just a lot of different rules. So when we're coming down, right, it's very, very few that you need to change in this, the rules part of it. Very, very little. But, you know, look for it. I've done it in red so that anything that comes up in red, then we are going to change. So hopefully you're doing this with me. You're changing it as I'm changing it. Okay, so I'm not going too fast, hopefully, for you. But again, everything will be recorded. So this is going over all of the rules. Now, I've put in enough rules and regulations here that you can edit out anything that you don't like. Edit in anything that you think should be in. Okay, so let's just go and look. So let's just talk about here, this part here, just so we can show you. So the trustee shall follow the directions and instructions of the man or woman who at times acts as general manager, if one has indeed been appointed. And then if no trust general manager exists, then the power is retained by the trustee of the private trust as to making of any determination, and shall not be found to assign any reason for making such determination, showing who is in charge of the trust, basically. And that the trust general manager part, you know, shows you that if there is none, which you don't have to have one, then it's just everything is run by the trustee. But it's flexibility, which is why I've put it in as a trust general manager. I have heard some people call it a protector. All right. Now, I'll go over that little bit when we get down to the bottom. Okay, so here, all right, when I've got that NFP, it should actually be in capitals. Right, that's what we were talking about before, weren't we? The non-governmental organization. So we're not looking to be paying taxes. Who wants to pay tax? Hands up. All right. Okay, so and it's, look, again, we're going over like the power of the trustees and the general manager, if there is one. I think in this one, I don't think there actually is, but we can go over that and show you how to do that. So like I say, I do recommend that you read every single paragraph, because some of them you'll think, man, I don't even like that part there. You know, there's stuff there about I'm going to leave it to a dog's or cat's home. You don't want that in there. You can take that part out. You know, and this basically shows you that you have the powers to do business, but we do state that business has to be done in the private. So you can add in property at any time. Add in property at any time you wish. So later on down the line, you can add in property, and you can also take the property out if you don't want it, don't want to sell it. However, you can sell it inside the trust, all right, and then the funds will go into the trust, and then the trust itself can actually buy the second property if that was what was going to happen. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, so just keep going down. Again, like I said, I would literally be here till 5 o'clock this afternoon if I was going to read every one of these out to you. But you must read them yourself. Okay, because as you can see, I've included so many different laws and regulations to cover every single kind of aspect I could possibly think of. But you can edit it in or out as you wish. Okay, so it is very comprehensive, and all of it, all right, is written this way right from the beginning. Just on this part here, and not that it's important, but look, no charitable intent, notwithstanding any man or woman that at times acts as a beneficiary, because a beneficiary is a title. That is a legal term, but if we put in, first of all, any man or woman that at times acts as a beneficiary, we are taking the title away, right? Because we are a man or a woman who at times acts as everything. We act as that. We are not that. We act as a person. We are not a person. I hope that makes sense. That is why it is written this way. All right. When we're going back to Klaus Schwabby Bobby, right, and he wants everyone to like own nothing and be happy. Well, I am of the impression and the opinion that they will be able to take, you've got to remember, okay, everything that you may think that you own, you do not own, because it is not in the name of the man or woman, it is in the name of the title. That is why on the land registry, Okay, you get your little piece of paper to tell you that this is not proof of ownership. You are the keeper. So you don't even own the car. All right. So just bear that in mind. So when you actually look on the land registry, you are either a tenant or a tenant in common or a joint tenant. Okay. If you have it yourself, you're obviously just a tenant. If there's two of you on there, depends on how it's been written up. You're either a joint tenant or a tenant in common. A tenant that doesn't pay rent unless you have, if it's not a freehold and you have a leasehold, then you have to pay rent. But why would you be a tenant? You're a tenant, and they tell you point blank, I've spoken to the land registry, the only and their word person, they said that. You can research this yourself. It's on a freedom of information request. The only person in the United Kingdom to own land is in this freedom of information, it said the Queen. Obviously now it'll be the King. Okay, just so you know, bear that in mind. So it is only your title that actually owns the title deeds, not the man. All right, that's quite a worry. Okay, so let's go on to here, and I'm going to move that across again. So we're coming on to number 91. Assets and acquisitions defined. Assets and acquisitions of the, so you're going to put the name of your trust in there. All right, are defined by the name of the trust again. Okay, and then we've got Annex A, the assets and acquisitions, any and all entries into the private trust. Become an immediate asset of the trust. This is vitally important. Okay, obviously this little bit here to edit it, that's fine. All right, but on there, okay, once we've actually done this here, and it's telling you, as soon as they've actually been put in with no entity having a higher claim than the trust fee simple claim. Okay, so that there, then it's definitely that the trust has the title of the actual property and not you. So not your title, neither. So then, right, they cannot say that it's the title because, all right, they own that title. I don't care what anyone says. So let's have a look. We're coming down into the descendants, UBIs. Look, see, we've got number UBIs here. That's units of beneficial interest, which is the percentage that the actual different beneficiaries hold. We will talk about that in a little while. We're coming on to the UBIs. They pass, units of beneficial interest, pass from descendants, issue of the body of the woman, Jenny Jane, who is the beneficiary. Okay, and the man, Fred Henry. So I changed his name. All right. So you can change that name to you. So Frank James, I do believe. If I'm doing the names differently, don't worry about it. All right. And let's just call her Matilda. Mildred. Hopefully I remember that. Matilda Mildred. I've forgotten it. Matilda. Okay. All right. So these are the descendants. All right. So obviously this is the Matilda Mildred and Frank James. They are the beneficiaries who at times act as beneficiaries. All right. I think act would sound more English. And the direct descendants for the Smithery Private Trust will hold all of the units of beneficial interest. Okay. If any direct descendants do not wish to accept distribution, which why would you not accept your benefits, but just in case you didn't, then they will be held by the trustees for their direct descendants, sons and daughters. Okay. Sons and daughters, see, not children, because that would be a title. And we're doing this as I am man. Okay. So there's like different descriptions of how we see, a man rather than a title, but this is all held in here. I'm not going to read every single one, like I say, because it would just take too long. right till the very end, look, number 106, public commerce prohibited. This is that this trust is specifically prohibited from engaging in any form of public commerce. The corpus of this trust can be utilized only in private transactions or barter. All right, what that means is it just keeps it out of the public realm. So this is the important parts where we come into the actual naming of the deed. Okay, so it comes up strictly private and confidential. Private trust. A private trust is not dependent on statutory law. A natural law trust is not subject to legislative control. The trust relationship comes under the realm of equity based upon the natural law and is not subject to legislative conditions, as are corporations and other organizations. This is this bit we're reading, created by legislative authority. Okay, and that's from a case law there. Okay, the Supreme Court has from the earliest time recognized the private trust as a valid legal relation. Okay, so we're not like trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm not trying to say, you know, we're going to do something different to everyone else. The only thing that we're saying is, you know, make sure that we write it as a man or a woman and you're not having a title. Because if Klaus Schwabby Bobby gets his day, then the thing is, then they will then own the trust or the title, your property on the land registry. I'm going to finish this section off by going over this. It's not that big now, honestly. All right, so okay, so we're coming from here. We're on this bit. We've changed it there. You've put your name of your trust. So whatever date it is, obviously I've just got this. I'm not going to change the date. So what was his name's Frank James, wasn't it? All right, so we're going to change that to Frank James. That is obviously the Frank is the first name, James is the middle name or second name. Smith, because it's the Smithery Trust, is the surname, but that is not, we don't put that in. All right. And then so change these to yours, okay? All right, so this is the first part of your actual deed here. The rest of it on the indentures is not the deed. This part here, all right, this is the start of the deed, okay? Well, I'll tell you what, I will change it. I'm just going to put it so it's this today's date. What is today's date? There we go. Okay. So coming part now, this is the titles part, okay? Whereas now we have to put this in because these are going to be the trustees. These are the commercial entities or the titles. Okay, so we put these in capitals. So we've got Frank James Smith and I can't remember if I did this. Matilda Mildred Smith. Okay, and then we have the limited companies. I recommend that you get dormant limited companies. We have a video on the channel with Aidan who shows you how to do it. So we've got Frank James Smith Limited. These are going to be the commercial entities. And Matilda Mildred, obviously you just put your own titles into there. Now I was reading again, I know it's like really exciting life that I have, and I was reading case law and trust law and equity, and then on the trusts there, and it can be limited companies of any type. So in the world of solicitors, for instance, then the solicitors, you can't have like, you know, Jim Jones solicitor, right, in putting his real name down as a trustee, because he might leave the company, he might die, retire, do whatever. So it goes in the name of the solicitors. Many solicitors will do a trust. never a private one. They're always either a discretionary one or a bare trust or, you know, a constructive trust, but definitely a statutory trust. So they will be down in the name of the company. There is no problem. There is no, this, we've got some people saying, oh, if you do that, then it means that the trust will collapse and the company can take over. It's your company. All right. So let's just go over here. It's right. This trust is established. Okay. All right. On here. Right. So the trustee can distribute the benefits of the trust property to the beneficiaries in keeping with all the provisions and conditions contained. All right. It's the specific intention of the man or woman who at times acts as settlor to create a trust exclusively for the benefit of man or woman who at times acts as beneficiaries of this private trust. Okay. So just get there. All right. So the inheritant. Okay, so we're showing you the inherent exclusive jurisdiction is exclusively under equity and natural law of the creator and shall not be construed or implied to mean admiralty, common law, Roman civil law, statutory or no other law. Okay. All right, so it's the express intention of the man or woman who at times acts as settlor to create a trust in consideration of the mutual covenants contained herein between the parties agreed as follows. So we've got interpretation. A man or a woman who at times acts as beneficiary means the following. A man. Well, who is it? It's Frank James, isn't it? Oops. So it's the man, Frank James, and the woman, what's her name again? Matilda Mildred. This is the living. So we're not having the capitals. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So let's go to the next page. Okay. So a man or woman who at times acts as the settlor being you, you're creating the trust, you're writing it. You are the trust creator or the settlor, which means you are going to settle any property into the trust. Okay. So the settlor, right? I'm just going to, I would actually put 1 rather than 2. So let me take that out so it's not dirty and complicated. So Frank James, isn't it? Frank James. Just put 1 settlor in. It truly doesn't matter. It's not like as if, you know, who has to go first or anything like that. You can put 1 name in and it'll be fine. Okay, now the trust. What is the name of the trust? Remember, you know, this is probably not the best one, Smith & Smith, because it's their names, right? Make it so that it's a good name that's memorable to you, means something to you even, but it's not like your name, Peter Wilson Limited, because that is exactly what we're trying to actually distinguish it from. Ooh, it's a big word, distinguish. All right. What's his name again? So here, right, we are looking at the trustees. Who are the trustees? You know, you can just have 1, by the way, but I prefer to have more than 1. Now, remember, the trustees are commercial entities, so they must be in capitals. Okay. So we've got this Frank James Smith Limited as well. It's a dormant limited company. You can be the directors. All right. So you got Matilda Mildred Smith Limited. So the what I would recommend doing, right? If you have children who are over 18, I would have them down as directors as well. So for instance, let's just say this one here, you've got this one, right? Matilda Mildred Smith Limited. So I would have that one there as like the directors would be Matilda Mildred, also Frank James Smith, and then just say that they've got children over the 18. I would put all of the ones that were over 18 as directors as well. Okay, then obviously what happens is when directors die, you just do a minute, literally MINUT, to see director has died, and now the other directors are still there, which is what we do actually with the trust itself. Okay, so with the trust itself, whenever anything gets changed, you just have to do a memorandum. When we're going to go over that document soon. Okay, a memorandum. So the trust property means any and all assets deposited into the trust. This is this part that we're looking at there, by the man or woman who at times acts as settlor. Okay, as and when deemed necessary. See, so you can actually add the property in anytime you like. So, you know, if you even 5 years time from now. Okay, so we've got the trust general manager written in, if one indeed, if no trust general manager. Okay, so let's just change the name. Oops. Smithery Private Trust is the man, Robert John. Robert John, he's going to be their son. Okay, I'm going to leave it as Robert John. I can't be bothered to change it. All right, but you don't have to have that one in. So, and if you didn't have one in, okay, after it says it means the trust general manager or the trust managers of the trust, and then literally you would just delete that bit. Just delete that bit off if you weren't going to have one. Okay, which you don't necessarily need one if you've got plenty of trustees anyway, and especially if the trustees are not strangers like a solicitor, because you don't know what they're going to do at any time, do you? Okay, all right, so here we're coming into the assets. So equitable asset with title number, you can make any title number that you want, right? So we've got PA0001, that just means property asset. You can take it out, you can call it anything that you want. Okay, I'm just going to put that down to SPT, Smithery Private Trust. I'm going to put today's date on it. You don't have to, you can do anything you want, anything. 2022-PT. All right, that's just there, but this is important with unique Royal Mail tracking number. So what I do just before I'm going to post it to myself, all right, I actually get the tracking number off the Royal Mail. I buy the Royal Mail online, and then I can get that number. So I can get the Royal Mail tracking number before, and then I put it into the document. So the reason why we're doing that, just going to get a quick drink. All right, when we're actually putting that title number, the tracking number in there, because of those certainties of intention, the 3 certainties that we were talking about, all right, no way in the world will you be miraculously not being able to actually get your title recognized that you had the intention of doing it, and you accidentally sent it to yourself in the Royal Mail with a Royal Mail tracking number. Okay, right. So that's vitally important to do that, and it just proves for a fact that you had the intention of creating this this trust. All right, don't like that. Okay, and obviously the document, when they're saying bearing the wedding autograph, that's the document itself. This is this document that we're talking about. All right, so let's move it down a bit. Okay, so we're coming in the name of the private trust. All right, we're talking about it there. So whatever name that you're wanting to call yours. Smithery Private Trust. Appointment of the man who at times acts as settlor. What was his name again? Frank James, wasn't it? Okay, who at times acts as settlor, confirms the appointment of, and here is the trustees. Okay, so it's going to be the limited company, Frank James Limited. Okay, and what I'll do is I'm just going to put care of. All right, and whatever address there. Look, you put in the square brackets in for the postcode. What was her name? Matilda Mildred, wasn't it? Matilda Mildred Smith Limited. All right, and then obviously this one is the commercial title given by government, your legal fiction, and Matilda's legal fiction as well. So we have 4 trustees. So the reason why I do that Matilda James is well, if you were challenged, let's say, and you had someone who went, oh, but you can't do that because, you know, that is still just you. Right now, we've got many a case where you've got it shown point blank that they fully know that the capitalized name is not the living. However, okay, if they just put a massive argument and cause you any problems, we have the limited companies which are also trustees. So you can only have 1 trustee, or you have 4. So you have 4 there backing each other up. Now we have what's called a severance clause. On the severance clause, it states point blank that if there's anything challenged anywhere within the document, then that part of the document can be severed from the document, which means that the rest of the document still remains lawful and valid. All right, that's vitally important to know. So if they said that Frank James Smith, that's just you, okay, but it doesn't matter then, we will sever that part, sever that paragraph, which still means that you have these other trustees that are actually in place. Therefore, there is a valid trust in place and enforceable. All right, hopefully that makes sense. And then when we join that and add that onto the fact that you've got it written into the land registry, okay, as trustees of the private trust, then you can't say that is just not proof. So let's go over onto here. So this is about the appointment of the trustees themselves. So let's change it. So you've got the limited ones as well. Frank James Smith Limited, or whatever name you were going to put into it. Matilda Mildred Smith Limited. And then we go on to the government's legal fictions for Fred Henry. So change that to Frank James. Okay, so it states on there. So we're looking at the appointment of Frank James Smith Limited, Matilda Mildred Smith Limited, Frank James Smith, and Matilda Mildred Smith as trustees as evidenced by the actions, deeds, and your current and existing functionality of, and then it's the names again. What it means is they're showing you are acting as a trustee. Your actions prove you are a trustee. All right. I don't want to go off on one, but that is actually how they get you also with your legal fiction, because when they give you a fine and you run around and pay the fine and panic because you have to go to court, you are acting as a trustee. You don't realize you're the beneficiary. But let's not go into that now. This is a different matter. So we're going to change the names to what they need to be here. So this is just showing them that you are actually know that you are acting as a trustee. Okay, that's what all of this sentence means, all of this paragraph. This is the limited company and the legal fiction fund that's government owned. They are all acting as trustees because of their actions. That's what it means. So we'll change that all up to there for them. Okay. So look at that bit there. It shows you there, and in law, because it's the law, right? And it's our law, which is the law of the creator, which shows that you are acting as a trustee. So just change all of these names to the ones. Now, what I would suggest, right, is that once you've actually changed all of these, that you go over it and you read it again and again and again. So that you actually get to at least have a good comprehension of what you are talking about, because it will be you. So you're changing yours over onto your names. All of this in red, and then obviously you change it all back to black. You'd never leave anything in red. Everything will be changed, you know, to the same color as the rest of the document, which will all be black, printed on blue paper. Or if you haven't got any blue paper, use blue ink on the white paper, because the blue is for finance and trust. All right. So this part here, the B, it's the appointment of the trustees, and they know that they are the trustees and they're bound to uphold, proving that the trustees, there's the names again, have acted and do still act as trustees in fact. Okay. So let's go down slightly, because I'm all right. So acceptance of private trust. The trustees accepts the private trust as detailed in this private trust and the duties and obligations set out in the law of this private trust. Okay. So come on, the term, okay, shall continue to serve in the capacity and office of trustee until the conditions of the private trust have been met in entirety and to the satisfaction of the man or woman who at times acts as beneficiary. So the beneficiary is in charge of the trustees. Remember, the trustees, they don't own the property. Everyone panics. Okay, so read these. I'm not going to read all of them, okay, because it does actually, it's about the trustees and making sure that the trustees have got full knowledge. Now look at this part here. Look, we're coming down onto number 4, trust property declaration and assignment. This is you putting the property into trust. So let's start off the first one. So you're going to be the trustee is Frank James. Right, and this is the property, right, that they're actually putting into trust. Okay, and there is the number. So you put, right, I'll just copy it out again, so you can change this. So it's going to be 37 Smith Street. Okay, Smithtown, Smithshire. In the UK, there's the postcode and evidenced by the Royal Mail delivery number. All right, it's the same number as the one before. All of the numbers are going to be the same. Okay, so you're going to use the same Royal Mail tracking number for every single one, every single one that you need to put in here. So what they're doing is they're saying that they're actually accepting these. The trustee acknowledges receipt of the trust property. You see, all right? The trustee acknowledges receipt of the trust property. So they're the trustee themselves. They are saying that they now have the property in the deed. It's been deposited. It's proven by the Royal Mail tracking number that you've sent the document. Okay. So then on this part here, all number 4, okay, is you're saying that the property has been put into the trust. So let's go to the next page. Okay, duty of the trustee. So this is obviously all of the different, which is still part of the deed. Look, so it comes down to this part: trust irrevocable. The trust is set out, and this private trust is irrevocable by the man and woman who acts as settlor. It means that you can stop the trust at any time, by the way, right? It doesn't mean that you can never change anything, but it means that no one else can change it. So you can't have anybody turning around and stopping your trust. So it's telling us like it's trust irrevocable. Then it's telling us what we're doing there. It's what's the applicable law. So we're talking about equity and natural law again. Okay. And all, telling them that, like, for avoidance of any doubt, all terms, definitions, expressions, and meanings are as the man or woman who at times acts as settlor defines them. So it's exactly what you mean. You mean what you say. All right. So everything, because it's private, has to be in confidential and in confidence. All right, I'm moving your pictures around, by the way, which is why I have little gaps in between so I can see what I'm reading. Okay, so again, all right, so this is that bit that I was talking about there before. Okay, severance. If any provision of this private trust shall be held unlawful or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, okay, which whatever jurisdiction it would be in, such unlawfulness or invalidity shall not affect the remaining provisions of this private trust, but such unlawful or invalid provisions shall be severed from the trust. So all to do is, if this sentence was wrong, you would literally delete it, as in the court, literally at that time, but the rest of it would be valid. So even if there was one thing wrong with the trust, so that sentence alone protects your trust completely from any mistakes that may have been put in there. All right. So then we're coming on to the date of it when we're actually doing it. That's there. So then we've got a special provision for special trustees in the event of a trustee breach his duty and lack of specific performance. The man or woman who at times acts as settlor appoints Billy Joe. This would be somebody else who at times acts as Billy Joe Smith. All right. That's the address. So here, what we need is, just in case you need a backup trustee, in case everything falls. Now, remember, we're writing this up as you are the actual trust. Well, you're not, but your limited company is the trustee and you are the director. So you may well not really need this. but it's in there. So you can literally delete all that, right? Or if you think, well, I'm going to put my son or daughter in there, okay, until you know, because we'll show you how they are the beneficiaries and default beneficiaries and whatnot. Okay. So we're moving on to the place of settlement. I use the ghost mail address for this one. I do not use the home address. I suggest you find somewhere else to put yours, not your home address. But if you truly need to, you know, it's not going to make it like collapse. All right. But whatever address that you need to put in there, you can put into there. So go change that now. Okay. So let's so whatever one it is. I've got 22 written on. It's all A's, B's, and C's, isn't it? It's just like just say 61 D, Bridge Street, Kington, Herefordshire. I can't remember what that word is there, but it's something like. Okay, so the date. Oops. All right, so who's going to be the settlor again? It's going to be it's the man, remember, or the woman. So we'll have it in the lowercase. So who's the trustees? We've got the 4 trustees. We've got the limited dormant limited companies. And then we have the legal fictions. The legal fictions are the commercial entities. Nearly coming to the end of this. And then we'll have a Q&A and a break. All right, the settlement sum. Okay, we'll just put it down as £10. It's just basically what you're calling the starting sum. So it's £10, which in trust law, then you would be paying, the settlor would be paying £10 to the trustees as the start of the trust fund. Oh man. So the name of the trust, whatever name that you want to put in there, your private trust. Remember, don't put like, you know, Peter Wilson Limited or your name, Full Capitals Limited. You want it slightly different so that you can see it's not you. Okay, you are distinguishing yourself. A distinguished gentleman or lady. Applicable law, equity and natural law of the creator. Man or woman who at times acts as the trust general manager, if any, right, cannot be a trustee or a primary beneficiary. Now, this is a gray area. So you may or may not have seen a video recently, whereas like you got a guy and he's basically having a go at a woman for writing the trust wrong, because they've made well, they actually call it a protector. It's an American version. A protector is a very much a US version. And he calls it the grantor as well. Again, that's a US version. The grantor, we call it the settlor in the United Kingdom. You can have a protector or a trust general manager. Now, I've read these law books and I've read these trust books and trust law. And it says that, let's call it a protector. So you'll comprehend what I'm talking about if you see the videos. All right, a protector can, in its states, can be anyone, including a trustee or a beneficiary. And then another book says that it can't be. And then another book says it is a grey area and it can be argued either case. And another case, another textbook, law book, it said it can be anyone, but it would be preferable not to be a trustee or a beneficiary, because it can down the line cause controversy if you have challenges from each other. So if a trustee is challenging a beneficiary or vice versa, then who is the trust general manager or the protector? So really, if you wanted to avoid controversy between the parties, not really between a court, just between the parties who will end up arguing and saying, right, I'm taking you to court, possibly, then I would avoid it. If you do use a trust general manager, avoid it being a primary beneficiary or trustee. Now, I have spent all week doing a lot of different edits to this trust. Now, there is a lot of different clauses in there. There's a lot of different wording in there. And if I have done a trust for you, okay, and literally I've done it for you. We've on our PMA, and you've made the donation, and I've done the trust for you. Because I've changed so much of it, and I literally have changed so much of it, I will rewrite yours all for free. I will just do it for you. Okay, because I've already done it. I'll just do it. Now, remember, all I need to do is to get a memorandum. You sign the memorandum as in any edits have been made as of this date. And that's it. Simple. That's well within the law. Everything is under natural law, obviously, but it would actually even be legal in their eyes. So I will be contacting anyone anyway, because there's a couple of really good clauses that I've put in. I've changed a lot of the wording on some of them to be stronger, and so I will, absolutely no problem, print it all out as well, everything, not a problem. So I'll speak to everybody individually about that. Now, I have went over this, but I needed to get this actual document finished before we have a break. Right, so who are the primary beneficiaries? The primary beneficiaries in this case are going to be the living. So we have the trustees, okay, which are the limited companies and the legal fictions. There. They are your titles. They are your person. Your limited, dormant limited companies, not trading, that you and your family are the directors of, and then your legal fictions, which are commercial entities. They are the trustees. Okay. So then we're coming down to who is the actual beneficiary. Well, you want to live in your property, your home. So we will have the living, the woman. So you put your lowercase name in there. If there's 2 of you, 3 of you. Okay. The man or woman who at times acts as the primary beneficiaries. The primary are the first ones. They are the main beneficiaries, the first ones that we will see. Okay. All right. So then we've got the man or woman who at times acts as a secondary beneficiary. I had something written in here, but somebody kept deleting it. Actually, I don't like them. I like them. Okay. All of this was changed. You know that all of this was changed, and people keep changing it and editing it. Even this morning, you've seen it. So there's a description of which I will include again. I'm not going to do it now. Right, man or woman who at times acts as the default beneficiary, if any, named. This is going to be Joseph James. I'm just going to leave it as Joseph James, but this will be who inherits the actual trust. Now it's written down and the clauses. These clauses are no longer there, there is a shorter clause here, right in there, which describes what the secondary beneficiary is. I know it's common sense. A secondary beneficiary obviously comes after the first beneficiaries, which is these. So if these had actually died, then it would go on to the secondary beneficiaries, if any had been named. All right, and then we'll go on to the tertiary beneficiaries. The tertiary beneficiaries only benefit if the first beneficiaries have been satisfied or died, and the same with the secondary beneficiary as well. It's kind of like being the second substitute, if you like, third in line. Okay. All right. So that's what that is. Now there will be a definition there. So the and then the default beneficiary, there is a description to it there as well, which I'll add again, but I've had to change it, you know, because everybody kept editing the document, even as I was trying to prepare to come on here this morning. All right, so none of this will be here, right? Just goes on about like the tertiary beneficiaries, which you've actually got it written in anyway, which you can change. Look, it's got any religious groups. So if there's no beneficiaries, i.e. everybody dies, all right, you can leave it to a church, or you can leave it to a dog, all right, a dog's home, okay. All right, so then we're coming on to the parts, and this is just how we actually get it signed and sealed. Okay, so I would have it sealed. And I would get a seal. I'll show you in a second. So I'll show you that in a second, the seal, and how you actually do that. Okay. So all you do is you make sure that you get two witnesses. Now, this is the language of the witness. Signed, sealed with the private trust seal and delivered by a trustee. Name of the trustee, okay, or signature of the trustee. That can be a signature, not an autograph, by the way. Remember that part, okay? And that there, see, they've changed all this as well. It's just so annoying. So you've got in the presence of, and then you've got signature of a man or woman who did witness, not who is a witness, right? It's who did witness, and then their name, okay? And you need two, so whoops, a daisy. So we're going to the next page. Hang on. Which is there, which again, that should see signature. You can only autograph something if you create it. So a witness, a man or a woman who did witness, right? They can't autograph it because they didn't create it. They're just witnessing it. So they have to sign it. You autograph something you create, like a painting, a picture, a story, a book, a song, or a document in this case, a trust deed in this case, indeed. Okay. So let's have a look. Again, all of this, I'm going to go over this now because literally it's been wiped off because people were changing it this morning with great big letters saying, do not do this. Smithery Private Trust, right? Let's see, we're going to put, this is the first property. So this is very important. So property known as 22 Bridge Street, Kington, Herefordshire. That's supposed to say Herefordshire, not Hertfordshire. It's a posh side. Herefordshire. HR46 JK. Okay, under asset, title, reference number, PA001. It's the Smithery Private Trust, and it's today's date. We're going to change it because you should all be putting yours in now anyway. The 10th to 12th, 2022, -PT. So what I'm going to do is right? So we've got the number one, that's your first asset, which is the home. And there's the reference number. And then the next one, we've got property known as Ford vehicle with markings, blah, 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 under asset title number on that one. Okay. So we're going to add more property into it. So I'm going to copy this part and I'm going to put it underneath there. All right, so let's get a new address in here. So you can be putting any properties you want in there now. Let's just get a different postcode. Put I don't know where anything is. I'm just making all this up. I don't know. Plymouth and Devon, isn't it? So I'm changing the title number because we've got number one and number two. So then I'm going to put this one at number three. Everything should have a title number. Okay, everything. All right, so, and we've got this one here, properly known as the Button Bend Cottage, 14 Valley, Corbridge, and there, and we're going to change that one to number 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now again, this was all written out this morning, but got changed. So we're going to change it all back, won't we? Oh, that one's actually okay. So you're going to put in your own reference number. Remember, you can be whatever you want as there, you know, but make sure that you make it all the same. So the property of your private trust, the following property belongs to the trust and as such is exempt from levy, charge, lien, or any other form of claim. That's why we do this, so that they can't put a lien on your property. Okay. 5. So all of these need to have reference numbers as well. Okay, so you can put like vehicles, any and all vehicles, just in case you forgot to put one up there. All right, furniture, any and all furniture or fitting for any room in any way at the above premises or in the possession or control of the trustees. You can put specific ones in, you really can. All right, you can put anything you want in, but then give these a title number. So you're being very specific. Electrical goods, any and all electrical goods, including tools, televisions, I hope not, receiving equipment, cleaning, sound and recording, lighting, computing and entertainment of any kind at the above premises. And they all give a specific title reference number. Okay, so nobody can argue that you didn't put these actually into a private trust. Right, which if we go back to that wine company, right, which was a case that went into court. Now, nobody got their wine, by the way, so that was terrible. You know, So they couldn't give it. So I'll have to change the receivers, because that wine company went bankrupt because they couldn't prove they had put it into trust, because they never gave any of the bottles a title number, right? So that wine company, obviously, you know, it was more of a problem to whoever wanted, and they weren't even going to drink the wine, will it? It was just like an investment. Okay, I know people that I've had conversations with, like, you know, Zoom calls with and everything like that, and they actually, you can invest in whiskey bottles as well. Did you know that? So these whiskey bottles, some of them are worth hundreds of thousands of pounds. So obviously you don't get that bottle out at New Year, do you? So you just be busy putting your own assets into there. So if we have a look, there's a couple more that I have to do. Okay. So Annex A, assets and acquisitions. Now, some people have an Annex B. And have the percentages of the beneficiaries written out, so whoever gets that certain percentage. But we don't have an Annex B. We have the units of beneficial interest certificates. It's the same thing, just in a different title. Okay, so this is the last page, the Annex A. This is only the title deed, by the way. There's a lot more documents to actually go with this. Now look how much time. This is probably, well, it is they're all so important to each other. Okay, but I can't say like that this is most important, but it is obviously very important. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing now.